My boyfriend broke up with me over red flags after listening to his best friend, then started begging me to take him back. Here's what happened. Hey Reddit. I never thought my 3-year relationship would end over something so ridiculous. But I guess when people plant doubts in your mind, they start growing like weeds, choking out everything else. That's exactly what happened with my boyfriend, Jake. One day, we were planning vacations together, talking about getting a dog, and even discussing moving in. The next, he was sitting in my apartment, staring at the floor, telling me that he wasn't sure about me anymore. It all started when his best friend, Tyler, got into his head. Tyler had never really liked me. I don't know if it was because I took up too much of Jake's time or if he just didn't like seeing his best friend in a committed relationship, but from the start, he had always made little comments here and there. At first, it was harmless, just playful jabs about me being too independent or too serious about life. But lately, his remarks had become more insidious. Jake had been acting strange for a few weeks, pulling away, not texting as much, and canceling plans at the last minute. When I finally confronted him, he blurted out something that caught me completely off guard. He said he had been talking to Tyler, and Tyler made him realize that I had a lot of red flags. I asked him what exactly those red flags were, and his response? Well, you always want to plan things in advance. You like to know what's going on. It feels controlling sometimes. Controlling? Since when was being organized a red flag? I wasn't out here tracking his every move or dictating his life. I just liked to know if we were still on for dinner so I didn't waste my time waiting around. Then he hit me with another one. You don't really like going out as much as I do. Tyler thinks you might be holding me back from having fun. Oh, so now I was holding him back? I wasn't the one forcing him to stay in, I just didn't always feel like going to the bar with his friends who barely acknowledged my presence. And let's not forget that most of those nights ended with me being the responsible one, making sure he got home safe while Tyler encouraged him to take another shot. I asked him point blank if he thought I was controlling or holding him back, and he hesitated before mumbling, I don't know. But Tyler makes some good points. I should have ended things right then and there. I should have laughed in his face and told him that if he wanted to date Tyler so badly, he was welcome too. But instead, I tried to reason with him. I reminded him of all the things we had been through, of the way we always talked things out, of how much I had supported him through everything. But it was like talking to a brick wall. Tyler had already poisoned his mind. A week later, he ended it. He sat across from me, looking guilty but firm, and said, I think we just want different things. I wanted to scream. No, we don't. Tyler wants different things, and you're letting him decide your relationship for you. But I didn't say that. Instead, I just nodded, swallowed the lump in my throat, and told him, okay. I wasn't going to beg. If he was so easily swayed by someone else's opinion, then maybe he wasn't the person I thought he was. But that didn't mean it didn't hurt. I spent weeks trying to wrap my head around it, replaying our relationship over and over in my mind, wondering if I had missed something. And then, just as I was starting to heal, just as I was starting to accept that maybe this breakup was a blessing in disguise, Jake came crawling back. It started with a text. Hey. Can we talk? I ignored it. Then another. I really messed up. Please, just hear me out. I still ignored it. A day later, he showed up at my apartment unannounced, standing at my door like a lost puppy. I almost didn't open it, but part of me wanted to hear what excuse he had. So I let him in, arms crossed, waiting for him to speak. He looked terrible. His eyes were red, his hair was a mess, and he kept rubbing his hands together like he was nervous. I just stared at him, waiting. And then he started talking. He told me that he had made a huge mistake. That he had let Tyler get into his head. That he had been miserable ever since we broke up. And then he dropped the real bombshell. Tyler had admitted that he never actually thought I had red flags. He just wanted Jake to be single again because he missed their old party lifestyle. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice completely flat. You threw away our entire relationship because your friend wanted a drinking buddy? Jake had the audacity to look ashamed. He nodded. I don't know what I was thinking. I was an idiot. I let him manipulate me. I miss you. I love you. Please, just. Can we talk about this? I stared at him, feeling a mix of anger, disbelief, and maybe a tiny bit of satisfaction. He had been so sure when he ended things. So confident that I was the problem. And now? Now he was sitting here, begging for another chance. And the worst part? I wasn't sure how I felt. There was a time when I would have taken him back in a heartbeat. When I would have forgiven him and tried to move forward. But now, after everything, I wasn't sure if I could ever trust him again. I took a deep breath and said, I don't know, Jake. I need time to think. His face fell, but he nodded. I get it. I'll wait. As long as it takes. And that's where we left it. Now, I don't know what to do. A part of me still loves him. A part of me remembers all the good times we had and wonders if we can fix this. But another part of me can't forget how easily he threw me away. How little it took for him to believe the worst about me. Do I give him another chance? Or do I walk away for good? I never expected to be in this situation. Standing at the crossroads of my own emotions, trying to figure out whether to let someone back into my life who had so easily thrown me away. Jake had made his choice once. He had listened to Tyler, let his best friend convince him that I was some controlling, restrictive girlfriend when all I had ever done was love him and try to build a future with him. Now, here he was, sitting on my couch, looking like a completely broken man, telling me he had made a huge mistake. He wanted another chance. He swore he saw things clearly now. He claimed he had been blinded by the manipulation of his so-called best friend. And the worst part? A part of me still wanted to believe him. I told him I needed time to think, and he nodded like he understood. He left my apartment that night with this look of desperation on his face, like he was afraid that if he stepped out the door, I would decide right then and there to never see him again. And maybe a part of me wanted to make that decision. Maybe it would have been easier to just shut the door on the past and move on. But emotions are complicated. Love is complicated. For the next week, my mind was at war with itself. One side reminded me of all the ways he had hurt me, how quickly he had doubted me, how little it took for him to believe the worst about me. The other side whispered about the years we had spent together, the moments of laughter, the way we used to stay up late talking about our dreams, the nights he had held me when I was at my lowest. And then there was Tyler. I couldn't get over the fact that he had done this so easily. That he had seen my relationship as some kind of obstacle in his life and decided to destroy it. And for what? Just so he and Jake could go back to their partying days? So Jake could be another lost 20-something, drinking away his nights instead of building a life with someone who actually cared about him? I wanted answers. So I decided to go straight to the source. I found Tyler at a bar he and Jake used to frequent. He was laughing with some of their old drinking buddies, looking like he didn't have a care in the world. When he saw me walking up, his smile faltered just a little. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said, leaning back against the bar like he owned the place. "I didn't come for small talk. I want to know why," I told him. "Why you did it. Why you had to ruin everything." Tyler sighed like he was already bored of the conversation. "You're making it sound so dramatic." I felt my hands clench into fists. It was dramatic. He had played with people's lives like it was some kind of joke. "Look," he said, setting his drink down. "Jake was getting boring. Ever since he got serious with you, he stopped coming out, stopped having fun. Every time I asked him to go out, he was like, 'Oh, I have dinner with my girlfriend,' or 'Oh, I promised her we'd watch a movie tonight.' It was like you had him on a leash." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You ruined my relationship because you missed your drinking buddy?" Tyler rolled his eyes. "It's not like you two were gonna last anyway. I just sped up the process." Something inside me snapped. I had never hated someone so much in my life. It wasn't just the fact that he had manipulated Jake, it was that he truly believed he had done nothing wrong. That he had the right to interfere in our lives just because he didn't like how things were going. I leaned in, my voice low and steady. "You know what's funny, Tyler? You did all of this to get your best friend back, but guess what? He wants nothing to do with you now." For the first time, his confident smirk faltered. "What are you talking about?" I took my time before answering. "Jake knows everything. He knows you lied to him. He knows you manipulated him. He knows you destroyed something he cared about just because you were too immature to handle change. And now? He doesn't trust you anymore. He doesn't even want to be around you." Tyler's expression darkened. "That's not true. Go ask him yourself," I said, turning to leave. As I walked away, I could feel his stare burning into my back. But I didn't care. I had gotten what I came for. When I got home, Jake was waiting outside my building. He looked hopeful, like he was praying I had come to some kind of decision. "I talked to Tyler," I said, crossing my arms. His face tensed. "What did he say?" "Exactly what I thought he would. He didn't even care about what he did. He just wanted you to go back to being his party buddy. He didn't think our relationship mattered at all." Jake ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. "I should have seen it sooner." "Yeah, you should have," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. He looked at me, his expression full of regret. "I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you. But I swear to you, if you give me another chance, I'll spend every day proving that I'll never let something like this happen again." I studied him, trying to see if there was still a future for us. But the truth was, something had changed. Maybe I could forgive him, but I couldn't forget. And deep down, I knew that if I took him back, there would always be a lingering doubt. A small, nagging voice that whispered, "What if it happens again? What if someone else plants a seed of doubt in his mind? Will he leave you that easily again?" I took a deep breath, feeling a strange sense of clarity wash over me. I loved Jake. I probably always would. But love wasn't enough. Not anymore. I shook my head. "I can't, Jake. I can't." His face crumbled. "Please. Just tell me what I can do." "There's nothing you can do. It's not about you proving yourself. It's about me knowing that I deserve better than someone who can be convinced to throw me away that easily." He looked like he wanted to argue, like he wanted to beg me to reconsider. But he saw it in my eyes. I was done. After a long silence, he nodded. "I understand." I turned to go inside, but before I did, I looked at him one last time. "I hope you learn from this, Jake. I really do." Then I walked away. And just like that, it was over. It hurt. Of course it did. But for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I wasn't waiting for someone to choose me. I wasn't questioning my worth. I knew exactly who I was and what I deserved. And I knew, without a doubt, that one day, I would find someone who would never need to be convinced to love me.